Tap, blah, 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 Welcome to Magic Chat.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Magic Theatre. I'm your host Cal, and in today's video we've got the top 10 sleeper cards from Bloomburrow. I've done one of these before for Modern Horizons 3, it was a lot of fun. It seemed to be very well received, so I thought we'd have a look at Bloomburrow, see what cards we can pick up for under £1 that are going to do well in your decks. So starting off with Parting Gust. Parting Gust is 2 white for an instant with gift attached to fish. Exile target non-token creature. If the gift wasn't promised, return that creature to the battlefield under returner's control with a 1/1 counter on it at the beginning of the next end step. Now, this card is very multifunctional. We used offensively or defensively, and it's very cheap in mana cost. I feel like it's one of those workhorse cards that's going to put in a lot of work in a game. You're going to have the double white could be prohibitive, but if you can afford the 2 white pips, I think this is going to be very useful at either keeping your commander around or getting rid of someone else's, perhaps. The gifting of a 1/1 tapped fish, I don't think is really a downside. Could be a downside in certain games, but generally I don't think it's going to matter. Up next, we've got Long River's Pull. Now, Long River's Pull is 2 blue for an instant with gift a card. Counter target to a creature spell. If the gift was promised, instead counter the target spell. So it's a hard counter for creatures. It's a hard counter for other spells if you want to gift a card. Now, hard counters in Commander are always useful. The price of gifting a card can really be used as a political tool here as well. So it might look like a downside that you've got to give someone a card, but you don't have to give the person whose spell you've countered the card. You can give it to someone else who's maybe behind in the game. The low mana cost of 2 mana, just like counter spell, but I think the political aspect of it with the gift card does make a difference here. I think much like Parting Gust that we looked at before, double blue could be a little bit difficult, but if you can afford to cast it, I think it's worth putting in your decks. Pretty cheap right now. Decent card. Let's move on. Up next, we've got Stargaze. Stargaze is X black and a black for a sorcery. Look at twice X cards from the top of your library. Put X cards from among those into your hand. The rest into your graveyard, you lose X life. Now, Stargaze for me seems just really well costed. It's 4 mana to look at 4 cards, put 2 of them into your hand, 2 of them into your graveyard. In a Graveyard Matters deck, the whole card is just upside. You get to, for 4 mana, look at the top 4 cards, 2 into your hand, 2 into your graveyard, and those 2 into your graveyard are essentially in your hand anyway, in certain decks. The life loss is very negligible in Commander, it doesn't really matter. Life is a resource, as we always say. The cost for the amount of selection that you get, I think, with Stargaze is what sets it apart from some other X spells that maybe draw your cards. I think looking 4 deep and putting 2 into your hand is probably better in most cases than drawing 4 cards, especially for 4 mana. Up next, we've got Coruscation Mage. Coruscation Mage is 1 and a red for an Otter Wizard that's a 2/2 with Offspring for 2 mana. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. This card is it's very simple in its design. I know I see Gutter Snipe a lot in my play group. This is 1 mana less than Gutter Snipe. Yes, it does 1 less damage, but I think in a Storm style deck, that's not really going to matter. I think if you are playing a Storm deck anyway, you're going to be casting lots of spells. 1 damage is also more likely to just go unnoticed as the game goes on. It'll add up, but 1 damage doesn't feel as bad taken as 2 damage. In my experience anyway, in Commander that is. And of course, the other upside with the Mage is that any token doublers will make additional Offspring tokens. So if you're in a deck that's already making a lot of tokens with Monastery Mentor or Young Pyromancer, this is just another one of those payoffs. Up next, we've got Might of the Meek. Might of the Meek is 1 red for an instant. Target creature gains trample until end of turn. It also gets +1/+0 until end of turn if you control a mouse and draw a card. Now, this is very cheap. It's a combat trick, and it could lead to some really fun gotcha moments, but for me, it's the cantrip side that's really important. This is just another one of those 1 mana, draw you a card, instant speed cards that you're going to see all over the place in Spellslinger decks. And I think Spellslinger decks have actually got a lot of support with Bloomburrow. Obviously the whole Otter side. I was surprised we didn't see an Otter commander deck that was just a Spellslinger deck, because that felt like an easy choice, but we didn't. So they give you some room to play with these Otter cards and really make the most of it. Up next, we've got Wear Down. Wear Down is 1 and a green for a sorcery with gift a card. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. If a gift was promised, instead destroy 2 target artifacts or enchantments. Wear Down is good. It's a very good card. 2 mana to get rid of 2 things is an insane rate. Sorcery speed is a little bit rough, but I think the low cost makes it worth it. And as we've said previously with gift a card, that's not always a disadvantage. Sometimes you can turn that into you not getting attacked for 2 turns, or so on and so forth. And I think Wear Down is one of these cards that, as time goes on, is just going to creep up in value. It seems to have a lot of utility in the 99 of pretty much any green deck, because there's always some problematic artifact or enchantment lying around, and being able to take that out for 2 mana just feels well worth it. Up next, we've got Peerless Recycling. Peerless Recycling is 1 and a green for an instant with gift a card. I guess you're sensing a theme here. Return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. If a gift was promised, instead return 2 target permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. Now, I know we've seen a lot of gift a card, and I hate to repeat myself again, but that is not always a downside. And here, getting back 2 things for 2 mana, another really good rate, just like Wear Down. They're very similar cards when you read them back to back like I am. I think I can forget about the only getting permanent side for when it's only 2 mana. That's just such a good rate. And I think it's relatively another one that, like Wear Down, is just going to creep up as time goes on. Pick it up while you can, while it's cheap, and play it in as many decks as you can, because it is very good. Unless it's in a sorcery deck, maybe don't play it then. Up next, Stormcatch Mentor. Stormcatch Mentor, 1 and a red for a 1/1 auto wizard with haste, prowess, and instant sorceries you control cost 1 less to cast. 2 mana cost reducer, always good. Having prowess does make it a later game threat as well. When you go out on your storm turns, your big crazy storm turns with multiple spells, and the otter is all of a sudden a 10/10. It's a good include in any Spellslinger deck, really. Most Spellslinger decks are in these colours as well. Obviously not all of them, but most of them will be able to play this. I don't see this as any better or worse than Baral. It's pretty much on the same level. Just 2 mana, reduce your costs, and over the course of the game, this is going to save you a lot of mana. The difference between this and Baral, this is going to be ridiculously cheap. So, pick it up. Up next, we've got Shortbow. Shortbow is 2 mana for an artifact equipment. Equip creature has +1/+1 and vigilance and reach. An equip for 1. Low mana cost at 2 mana. 1 mana to equip is also very low. Vigilance and reach, 2 very relevant keywords in Commander. I can think of many games where vigilance and reach would have helped me win a game. I think this is going under the radar. Probably more than the rest of them, because it's a little bit innocuous. It looks like a bit of a limited sealed card, but this is another one of those artifacts that I think in a couple of years, when you're looking to, oh, I want to foil one for my deck, it's going to be about a tenner, and all of a sudden you're going to be like, well, they really should reprint that. But pick it up now while it's cheap. And our final card is going to be Patchwake Banner. Patchwake Banner, 3 mana for an artifact. When it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1. Tap, add 1 mana of any colour. Very simple design, But for 3 mana, it's an untapped mana rock, which is okay in Commander. Not great, but the Anthem stapled on, I think really helps. Especially if you're in a multicoloured deck. I think anything more than 3 colours in this gets even better. Because it fixes your mana, it's 1 mana of any colour. And any tribal deck realistically could fit this in. And it'll do a bit of work for you. It's not the most flashy of cards, but it's a workhorse, and I think you'd see that in a game of Commander. And that's it for this video. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed that, please leave a like and subscribe. If you want to hear more from me, follow me on Instagram at @the_chattering, on X at @m_the_chattering. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.